All right, we are ready for our first college algebra lesson with our period 4 statistics class. It is a glorious morning. Sun is shining. We're inside though, that's okay. We're going to talk about functions and function notation. Here are the four, great, 403. Oh, and lunch, you can go to lunch. Here are the the four learning objectives for today. All right, you're going to see we're going to focus on determining whether a relation becomes a function. All right, so how to determine if a relation becomes a function. We're going to evaluate functions. That's what it means to find the value of a function. We're going to determine whether a function is one-to-one, which some of you have learned in your pre-calculus or possibly even your calculus class. All right, and then we're going to talk about the vertical line test to help us graphically determine if a relation is a function. All right? Now, I apologize that this writing is so small in your paper, but you guys are young, you can read it. All right, so here's the information about a function. You'll see some words that are bolded for you. Words that hopefully you remember from your times in algebra. Your domain and range. Domain being your input values, range being your output values. So your x and your y values. And basically how to determine when something is a function. Remember, you're looking at your input values, and each input value can only have one output value. Because I'll repeat that. That's what you're going to be looking for later on your own. Each input can only have one output value. Each input can only have one output. If an input has more than one output, it is not a function. It is a relation. Okay? Now, you'll know when something is a function. All right, if they're telling you it's a function, they will mention something about function notation. That's this f of x. Now, does it always have to be the letter f? Remember, you've seen G, H, K, other ones, I'm sure, in other classes. But just know that that's the basic function notation, is f of x. Any questions about this kind of vocab? Stuff that hopefully you remember from last year, year before. Okay. So let's see how we're going to use this information to help us. We have three tables. Three tables. Quickly just glance and read those tables to yourself. Let's start with table 6. Ask yourself the question, does this table represent a function? Ask yourself the question, does this table represent a function? Emmanuel, does this table represent a function? Table 6. Why? So you're saying function. Why?
Because the input doesn't repeat.
So we don't have any repeated inputs. So no repeated inputs. What's another way you could say that you know this is a function? Emmanuel said no repeated inputs. What's another phrase you could use here? The drilling is back. Excellent. That was pretty good. You don't know? Does anyone know? What's another way you could say it? Yes, Jace. Ooh, they're all positive. Doesn't matter if they're positive. She notices they're all positive. Jace notices they're all positive. Does that matter? It doesn't matter, right? Is any?
Each input has only one. Wait, you're looking for a different phrase?
Yeah, I'm looking for a different phrase.
Yeah.
I'm good with Emmanuel's, but what's another phrase?
Each input has only one output.
Each input has only one output. That's what I would write. Each input has only one output. That's what I would write. That's what I'm looking for on the exit ticket if it is a function. Each input has only one output. Let's shift to table 7. Shift to table 7. What do you think about table 7? Table 7. Sylvester, what do you think about table 7? Function? Not a function? Function. Why? So they try to trick you because they put the same output. All right? But you can repeat outputs. What can you not repeat? Inputs. So this one has each input has one output. Now, it's just a coincidence that two of those outputs happen to be the same number. So it's just a coincidence that they happen to be the same number, those two outputs that are 5. Let's go to table 8, the last table. Table 8. Galileo. Table 8, what do you think? No. So what am I going to write if it's not a function? Relation. Now, how did you know it's not a function? Exactly. And these inputs, it's the same input, but you'll notice the same input has two different outputs. That means it is not a function. So we have input of 5. Input of 5 has two outputs. I promise you, I was in here from 8 to 8:30 in this room, and they were doing 0 drilling from 8 to 8:30. We start teaching, hey, let's do our drilling. Awesome. So I apologize for those that are listening at home. I would say, just turn the volume down a little bit, close captions, or something like that. Any questions on using a table to determine if it's a function or not? Great, let's keep going. Read this one for us. Brissa. Excellent. I love that Brissa said h of p for the function, not h times p or h parentheses p, h of p. Very good. So that means I'm going to take h of p and I'm going to replace p with the input value of 4. So 4 is my input. Everywhere I see p, I'm going to put parentheses and the 4. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone has a calculator on their desk. I'm not sure if you need one for this. I think we can do it mentally. So I heard somebody say 16. What's 2 times 4? 8. Add those together and you get 24. So h of 4 is 24. Now I'm going to be a stickler for this. The answer is h of 4 equals 24, the whole thing that I boxed. So if you try to just get away with writing the number, I'm going to ask you to write the full notation. All right, I'll make that clear. I boxed the whole thing, write the entire notation. Are there any questions about tables and functions and evaluating functions? Because we're about to transition to a spot. Now let me talk to you about what spots are available. This board over here can have 2 people. This board can have probably 4 people in that board. That's a massive board. This will just do 1 person up at this board. 3 people here, 2 people here, 2 people there, and in each window can be 1 person. All right? You got which spot you want to go to? Gotta beat somebody there. Go! Wow, this is me to call out Aiden.